people say when they watch them. Netanyahu returns with a boost from far right. Here you go. Israel news. I'm going to cover it for like 3.5 seconds.
Overseas, where former Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu appears to be on the brink of being the current prime minister again. Once again, his right-wing coalition has the most votes as of now after Israel's 5th election in 4 years. A little refresher on Netanyahu. He was...
Thank you, Anna Dabadoo, for the 5 Get the Subs. And thank you, Spooky Sperry, for the 5 Get the Subs.
...forced to step down last year amid corruption charges, which, by the way, he is still currently on trial for right now. Imtiaz Tayyab is following all of it from London. Imtiaz, they're saying it could be the most right-wing government in Israel in years, if not ever. Good morning.
Tony, good morning to you. Yes, well, it looks all but certain Benjamin Netanyahu will make an extraordinary comeback from the political wilderness. But as you say, his return is being directly tied to the rise of his allies, Israel's extreme right and ultra-Orthodox political parties. For the first time ever, the far right have won the 3rd largest number of seats in Israel's parliament. One of the main parties, known as the Jewish Power Party, is led by Itamar Ben-Gvir. His rhetoric is stridently anti-Palestinian. He suggested imposing the death penalty on Palestinians convicted on attacks on Jewish people. Now, this sharp shift rightward comes at a time of mounting violence. Since January, a series of Palestinian attacks have killed 19 people across Israel, while more than 130 Palestinians have been killed in confrontations with Israeli forces, making this the deadliest year since 2005. Netanyahu's return to power also fuels concerns by Arab neighbors he will continue to obstruct negotiations for a Palestinian state. But allied Gulf countries see Netanyahu as a powerful counterweight to Iran's growing influence across the region. Gail.
Yeah, cucked ass fucking Gulf states. That's who. Oh my God. Oh, Jesus. It's over. Dude, Israel literally was like, let's be like let's still continue being as violent as possible to the Palestinians, but like, let's spruce it up a little bit, right? Let's be like, let's dial it back from like 100 to 99.9. I mean, in that process, they still murdered a beloved Al Jazeera journalist. Like, kind of forgot about that. They're still beating the shit out of people. You know what I mean? Like, they're doing all this stuff. And the Israeli citizens were like, nah. The Israeli citizens were like, nope, that's too much. We're giving them too much. We gotta go back to being worse. Yeah. I mean, there's nothing you can do. It's just the far right is rising all around. Israel's no different. Let's look at a little bit more into Ben-Gvir though, who is a fucking
another round of elections, another set of even crazier, even more extreme candidates. And no, I'm not talking about next week's midterms here in the United States. I'm talking Israel, where they just had their 5th parliamentary elections in less than 4 years. And this guy, Itamar Ben-Gvir, and his party of far-right extremists and racists, as even the pro-Israel group AIPAC has acknowledged they are, looks set to make major gains in the Israeli parliament, the Knesset. There's even talk of Ben-Gvir becoming Homeland Security Minister in a new Benjamin Netanyahu-led Israeli coalition government. Yes, Bibi could be back too. More on that in a moment. But look, Ben-Gvir, a man one commentator dubbed the David Duke of Israel, is so extreme that he makes our very own Marjorie Taylor Greene and Carrie Lake and Doug Mastriano look like woke leftists. Let me put it this way. Greene likes to make TV ads where she's holding a gun. Ben-Gvir actually pulled out a gun while on a recent visit to a predominantly Palestinian neighborhood of occupied East Jerusalem and urged Israeli police to open fire on Palestinian protesters throwing stones. He claims it was in self-defense. Greene says she wants to deport illegal immigrants, calling it an invasion. Ben-Gvir wants to deport citizens of his own country, Palestinians.
It's so funny when like Americans don't understand how like Israel's racism meter is dialed up to like 700 times. Because like for you just look at Israel and you're like, oh, what? There's like, you know, some gay people there, nice beaches. They're just having fun. Like, because American media never covers the absolute fascist psychopathy that goes on in the Knesset. That is just a part of permanent existence in Israel. Okay? That like this sort of shit. I mean, this sort of shit's like too much even for Israel. Okay? Which is saying something because, again, Israel actively doing occupation, actively doing, colonial violence, actively maintaining an apartheid state. Oh. Damn, bro, back with the anti-Semitism. Yeah, we're popping. Why don't we stop them? Wait, what? They're killing Palestinians. Why the fuck would America stop that? What? America loves Israel's operations in the Middle East. What the fuck are you talking about? Because the victims in this circumstance are brown people, okay? The victims in this circumstance are Muslims, they're Palestinians, they have no rights, they have no liberty, they have no one in their corner. No one. All the fucking dogs that run the Gulf states have already backed the American government and backed Israel. That's what they are. They're fucking dogs, okay? I'm 17 and serving the Israeli military is mandatory for about 3 years. They start drafting you at 18 and you really can't do anything about it. Even if you object to occupation and conscientiously object serving, basically doing war crimes for 3 years, they put you in jail for at least a year as a tactic to insert fear. Yeah. My favorite Taylor Swift account actually quite literally went to jail for being a conscientious objector.
Citizens of Israel, that is. Those who he says oppose the state of Israel or are...
But you understand this hate didn't grow out of nowhere. Yeah, motherfucker, I know the long history of Israel's colonial actions backed by and promoted by other colonial powers like, England, the British Empire. Yeah, I know. It's called the Nakba. That's where the resentments began. And that was the first strike, I would say. Or you can go before the Nakba as well. But the Nakba was the first big blow, 1948. Purging the fucking country of Palestinians and then taking their fucking houses. This goes way back before the first Nakba. I know, but that is like the most has the most permanent damage.
Disloyal to it. Stripping them of citizenship is his plan. They must be expelled, he has said. It is difficult to describe just how far right and how far from democratic norms this...
Dude, I don't know what EMP Lemon is, but I'm going to tell you right now, I have no idea what the fuck you're talking about. If you don't shut the fuck up and stop asking EMP Lemon over and over again, I'm going to permanently ban you. Okay? Stop.
Man is. So who is he? Where did he come from? Because sadly, you're going to be hearing his name a lot more. Ben-Gvir came to fame in Israel as a mere 19-year-old back in 1995 in the wake of the Oslo Peace Accords, when he appeared on television holding a Cadillac emblem that he claimed to have ripped from then Prime Minister and Israeli peacemaker Yitzhak Rabin's car. "We got the car," he said. "We'll get to Rabin too." Rabin was assassinated by a...
Well, they did get to him. They did.
Far-right Jewish extremist just a few weeks later. Ben-Gvir has since said he meant only to shout at Rabin. He was so extreme, Itamar Ben-Gvir, that he was exempted from Israeli military service because they were worried about his far-right views. Ben-Gvir was so extreme that he...
Wait, is that a thing they do anymore? This is when... I would put this in the... This is when Israel was like acting like they gave a shit about a two-state solution era. Shouts out to Bibi Netanyahu, by the way. for quite literally just going, fuck that shit. I remember a time and place where the Israeli government would say, oh man, they're bulldozing in occupied territories in the West Bank. They're bulldozing places. Oh, fuck. I guess don't do that. Don't do that. We won't give you military support if you do that. That is long gone, baby. 20 fucking years. Is Bibi the same as Benjamin Netanyahu? Yes, he is. Long gone. It's not gone? What do you mean? No, the defense or the turning a blind eye to the fucking bulldozers is long gone. Now they're like, oh no, we're sending the bulldozers. Now you look on Israeli television and they're selling real estate in the fucking Western territories. Now they send the military everywhere. They've already perfectly fucking cut with incision, with precise, with the precision of a fucking surgeon, cut every single occupied territory and neighborhood. Yeah, I mean, IDF did do this. You're right. The IDF ran over a peaceful American protester with a bulldozer in broad daylight.
He invited reporters into his home, which is in an illegal Israeli settlement, you'll be shocked to hear, and showed them a picture of Baruch Goldstein, the man who massacred 29 Palestinians in a mosque in Hebron in 1994. He showed them a picture of him hanging on his living room wall. In fact, Ben-Gvir and Goldstein were both members of that same racist party, the KAK party, founded by the late extremist Rabbi Meir Kahane, who wanted to expel all Arabs and turn Israel into a theocratic state. Today, Ben-Gvir heads the Jewish...
Like, that's just so normal now. Like, even if people still say, no, he was an extremist, it's like when fucking Republicans say, like, no, the KKK, those guys are crazy. But then literally believe everything the KKK also believes. You know what I mean? That's basically like the Israeli right now.
power party, Otzma Yehudit, which is in many ways a successor to the KAK party. Oh, and he's also a practicing lawyer, an attorney for some of the worst people. As one Israeli news website points out, in his job as a lawyer, Ben-Gvir has represented numerous Jewish Israelis accused of conducting violent attacks against Palestinians, including the convicted murderer of the Dawabshe family who were burned in their home. Over the last 30 years, Ben-Gvir himself has faced over 50 criminal charges and been convicted on 12 of them, including racist incitement and support of a terrorist organization, 2 charges that are rarely pursued against Jews in Israel. The fact that, as one Israeli commentator puts it, these days Ben-Gvir wears a suit and a smile, or as his own spokesman says, he's grown up, doesn't change how dangerous he remains. In fact, the most dangerous demagogues are the ones with charisma and passion, the ones who know how to cleverly normalize the abnormal. This is how Ben-Gvir, right now, describes...
What? Stop saying... Oh, person's making a joke. The fact that Ben-Gvir was not drafted due to his extreme beliefs makes total sense once you consider that a huge chunk of the soldiers voted for him. That's what I'm saying. Like, back then, in 1995, they were like, oh, man, you're too extreme. Now I feel like you have... Now it's like the way Israel at least operated, okay, the way Israel, like, behaved and conducted itself in 1995 is very different than Israel now. Super brazen, super out there, super fucking bloodthirsty, super fascist, don't give a fuck, out and about, straight up destroyed all matter of leftist opposition in Israel, okay, completely. Now you have like a lighter genocidal liberal opposition to Netanyahu. You know, like, I'll tell you this much. Benny Gantz is the guy that was seen as the leader of the coalition that included even Arab parties in the Knesset, right? Last time around, they had Benny Gantz. That motherfucker's a military commander. He literally had war crimes when he was running. He promoted his war crimes when he was running for the position, bro. Oh, fuck. That's not the last time. That's 2 times ago. Oh, my God. Israel also happens to do fucking elections every week. So there's the other problem. Holy fuck. Do you think Hamas is an actual threat to Palestine? What do you mean an actual threat to Palestine? Hamas is nothing. But unfortunately, when you have nothing, it's everything you have. Okay? The fuck do you mean? Bro, have you seen what Gaza looks like? It is an open air prison. Okay? Where, you know, a lot of the people are 14 years old. Some of the highest population density, never-ending bombing campaigns within Gaza. The fuck are they supposed to do? They have nothing. It's literally an open-air concentration camp. They have nothing. So they try to fight back. On the other side, in the Western Territory, in the West Bank, you have a complete feckless, neutered Palestinian leadership that almost all Palestinians universally agree sucks ass. And on the other side, you have people engaging in legitimate self-defense. Like, yeah, they're homophobic or whatever the fuck, right? They're fundamentalists. They are. But like, that's what happens when your life is shit. That's what happens when you have to fucking get bombed every week. And also, the invention of Hamas was also an Israeli invention. Hamas was seen as a fundamentalist counterweight to the socialist revolutionary Palestinian groups. That's the reason why it was funded by Mossad. You know? It's just they're getting more. Is this a biased take? Yes, bro, I'm biased. Yes. I am 100% a biased person on this matter. I'm biased. I'm biased towards Palestinian liberation. I'm biased towards Palestinian emancipation. When I see a statistic like 91% of teenagers living in the fucking Gaza Strip have PTSD as a consequence of endless bombing campaigns, I can't help but feel like the people doing those war crimes should be held accountable, but never will. That's crazy. Isn't it odd how much this take intersects with the material conditions behind the 1350 myth? Just like the position is consistent or something? Yeah, when you have nothing, Hamas is the only thing you have that is like providing some semblance of retaliation to a country that took your territory, robbed you of your home, and is literally routinely bombing you. crazy. And they're doing this in the fucking West Bank too. Didn't the IDF also kill Turks trying to break? Yeah. Mavi Marmara. Yes. Israel is so brazen with its fucking war crimes that it straight up got away with murdering a bunch of Turkish people who were on a humanitarian mission, who pushed through the blockade to deliver food and aid to Gaza. And they fucking drop shipped into it with a helicopter and butchered every single humanitarian on that ship. And then they turned around and they were like, they had guns on the ship. They showed those guns. It's fucking knives. They put butter knives on there against the Israeli machine gun fire and the helicopter. Yeah.
Palestinian members of the Israeli parliament who he refuses to work with.
What are we talking about? Muslim brothers, they're outlaws. These people in the the government of Israel were there. These people are terrorist supporters. These people support the fact that any Jew who lives here will live under some sort of an Islamic regime. They are a danger, an enemy, so I don't sit with Basur Abbas.
And yet, to quote the Washington Post, Ben-Gvir has gone from political untouchable in Israel to marquee attraction. How? Thanks to Benjamin Netanyahu.
Yeah, Benjamin Netanyahu, not even in this last election cycle, but in general, over the course of the past fucking 20 years when he was in power, has turned Israel into somehow even more of a bloodthirsty nation. Okay? A nation that was built, most nations are built on bloodshed. Let's be fucking real, right? But Israel's development is so recent, and Israel's development is such an obvious fuck you to everyone else that was living in that region, where, like, obviously the last imperial superpower decided to, as it was getting out of the fucking way of the next imperial superpower, decided to do something that was immensely brutal and unjustifiable to the people that were living in an area. First, they went to the landowners and said, hey, we're going to buy these lands off of you, okay? And you're just going to do mass evictions. Then, that wasn't enough. Then they went directly to the fucking homes and killed people. And to this fucking day, they say, we don't know the exact numbers of people that just, relocated on their own volition. It's crazy. Anyway. I'm not going to lie. I've been covering this shit for my entire political commentary career. And up until the last lawn mowing operation, that's what they call it, cutting the grass, when they go into fucking Gaza and they bomb it. Just to keep them down a little bit, just to help them recognize their place. Last time when this happened, even the internet was like, holy fuck, dude, this is unimaginable cruelty. That was the first time in my entire life, in my entire career of engaging in political commentary. This is the first time I ever saw widespread condemnation against Israel's unjustifiable and inhumane actions towards Palestinians. Anyway. Honestly, it's fucking shameful that a few descendants of Holocaust survivors are repeating the sins that were wrought upon them. Disgusting. First of all, there's plenty of Holocaust survivors and their descendants that do not appreciate the actions of Israel. So don't do that. Don't say that. That's not true. There are plenty of Jews that do not believe that the actions of Israel are justifiable. Not all Jews are Zionists. As a matter of fact, in the United States of America, there are significantly more evangelical Zionists than there are Jewish Zionists. Obviously, still, a lot of American Jews are pro-Israel, or there are plenty of American Jews, especially with birthright and especially with Bibi Netanyahu and his connection to our wonderful home of our wonderful city of brotherly love, Philadelphia. I would say that the older generation of American Jews have moved away from more radical anti-Israel rhetoric. Evangelical Zionists exist, huh? What do you mean? Evangelicals are fucking Omega Zionists, dude. The fuck do you mean? Why you gotta bring that up? You don't claim him? Doesn't matter, bitch. Bibi Netanyahu, Benjamin Netanyahu is from Philadelphia. That's true. He's a Philly ass motherfucker, bro. That's true, dude. He is. People are, dude, I love, whenever I talk about like Benjamin Netanyahu or anything like Israel related, people just don't know anything about it. There's like Jewish Americans who are like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, they just don't know. Whenever I talk about like Benjamin Netanyahu, for example, is a Holocaust revisionist, people are like, what? No way. Yeah. Where did Benjamin Netanyahu spend his teenage years? In the Philadelphia suburbs, baby, when he attended and graduated from Cheltenham High School in Montgomery County. Moved from Israel to Cheltenham. His father moved from Israel to Cheltenham in 1963 to teach at the Dropsy College. Now the Katz Center for Advanced Judaic Studies at the University of Pennsylvania. In 1967, he served in the IDF elite unit. He returned to Israel to serve in the IDF's elite unit, where his brother died, but unfortunately he did not, on that famous operation on, what was it, Ethiopian soil? Where'd they go? Because Israel has a policy where, like, two brothers cannot be on the same operation. In Entebbe, yeah. In Uganda. So it's kind of like how you LARP as a Californian when you're really a New Jerseyite. It's a hate crime in the UK to criticize the occupation because they adopted a new definition of anti-Semitism that includes criticism of Israel. Yeah, I don't care. Luckily, in America, we haven't gotten to that point yet. Even though all these motherfuckers that talk about free speech... all these motherfuckers that talk about free speech out here, the only two people that spoke out against the BDS, the anti-BDS legislation all around the country were, and I hate to say this because she is a fucking fossil, Dianne Feinstein and Bernie Sanders. That's right. For those of you who don't know, Dianne Feinstein and Bernie Sanders are the only two, like, mainstream Democratic politicians, or just mainstream politicians in general, that spoke out against anti-BDS legislation. Fun fact for all of you. Anyway, Netanyahu came back to the U.S. to study architecture and business administration at MIT. Then he got a job in Boston. But he went to Israel following the death of his eldest brother, who was killed in attempting to free hostages from the hijacked Air France airliner in Uganda. And that's it. My grandma, who was kicked out of her home in Nablus by the Haas, by the IDF, has tens of ownership certificates of land in Palestine that is now all illegal settlements and parks for Zionist shits. Yeah. That last conflict was also the first time the Israeli apartheid became recognized. Yeah, but it doesn't even fucking matter because now when you say Israel is an apartheid state and you're like, a Democratic politician, they fucking bully the shit out of you still.
See, back in the 1980s, when Rabbi Meir Kahane spoke in parliament, mainstream Israeli politicians were disgusted and walked out of the chamber. The major Israeli parties then united.
This is what I mean. This is what I was talking about. 1980s, 90s, like Israel was, of course, still very violent because it is its nation building project hinges on the extermination of the Palestinian people. So, of course, they were still automatically pretty fucking violent. It's like America. You know what I mean? It's identical. America has a lot of white supremacist values baked into its fundamentals. That history doesn't just go away. You can't just whitewash it. Right? But at least on its face, despite the incredibly violent actions, they still made it seem like settler occupation, settler terrorism, illegally going into fucking Palestinian territory and like building a house. That was something that they turned a blind eye to. Well, that's gone now. They're just very openly in favor of it.
And Kahane's CAC party and designate it as a terrorist group. And yet last year, Netanyahu opened the door to Kahane's heir, to Ben-Gvir. So desperate was Bibi to try and stay in office that he tried to cut a deal with Ben-Gvir's Jewish power. So just as Donald Trump opened the door of the Republican Party and American politics to all sorts of outright racists and nativists and even fascists, to all sorts of weird cranks and loons, his pal Netanyahu shamelessly and recklessly did the same in Israel. Oh, and just as Netanyahu is on the verge of returning to office in Israel, even while in the midst of a criminal corruption trial, don't rule out Trump doing the same here in the US come 2024, regardless of whether Merrick Garland ever gets round to bringing charges against him. To be honest, some of the parallels between Israeli politics and American politics and the shift to the far right are kind of spooky right now. Israel is, of course, a top ally of ours, we are constantly told. Members of Congress on both sides of the aisle tell us that all the time. Joe Biden stressed our shared values with Israel just last week while hosting the president of that country.
We're going to discuss the ironclad commitment, and this is, I'll say this, 5.
He ain't wrong when he says America and Israel have shared values. It's just that those values are fucking dog shit, okay? That's the point. Those values are brutality. Those values are endless occupation, an apartheid state. Those values are fucking anti-Muslim existence, okay? The eradication of Muslims. Those are the fucking U.S. virtues. Those are the U.S. values that are identical.
1,000 times in my career, the ironclad commitment the United States has to Israel based on our principles, our ideas, our values. They're the same values.
Well, Itamar Ben-Gvir's values are certainly not our values, American values, or at least...
Oh, come on, Mehdi. Stop. It is our values, brother. It's the same. I think if you are as critical as I am of the United States of America, you understand exactly where we're coming from with our allegiance and seemingly, undying loyalty to Israel. It's the same. We're brothers in bond. We're brothers in blood. We have the same enemies, okay? And that's it.
Shouldn't be. So let me say this. It makes no sense for America.
And another country that both Israel and the United States supported that was also identical to our existence was apartheid South Africa. It's not a fucking, it's not a coincidence, okay? Like, why? Why were we so in favor of apartheid South Africa? Why was the State Department in favor of apartheid South Africa? Why? It's the same shit. Those are our homies. They're doing the same shit we want to do. They're doing more of it.
American liberals or progressives to fight the rise of fascism here at home while giving it a pass abroad, giving it a pass when it's on the rise in a country that we're allied with, a country we like, whether it's Israel or India or Turkey. We need to call out fascists and authoritarians and racists wherever they're on the march.
On the fault in your logic is that the supposedly controlling population in the U.S. is disappearing fast, as shown from census to census. Wait, what? Are you fucking stupid? I'm not talking about white people, you fucking pasty loser. I'm talking about capitalists, dumbass. Shut the fuck up. Apartheid, or Jim Crow South segregation, is simply a method to divide and conquer the working class at the behest of capitalists. God damn, bro. Motherfucker just came in and immediately started doing great replacement theories. Like, what the fuck is white people anyway? Okay? What is white people? It just means people in power, okay?
Wherever they're in power or on the verge of acquiring power, and whether they're Christians, Jews, Muslims, or Hindus. Joining me now to discuss what's happening in Israel is lawyer and political analyst Diana Boutou. She's a Palestinian with Israeli citizenship, was a former spokesperson.
Their logs are fucking cooked. You say European Americans? Shut up. No shot, brother. Maybe the birth rate is too high. Brother always eating on stream. Wait, you're saying the population group is fading away faster than any other group in history? European Americans are actually aiming to exterminate others? Wait, we gotta unban this motherfucker. I need to hear more. European American, excuse me. What's a European American? This guy literally was like, I don't even want to care. I don't even want to act like Hispanics are white. Okay. I don't want to act like there are white Hispanics. He just said European Americans, which, by the way, not Spain, though. You know what I mean? When I say white Hispanics, I'm not talking about Spanish people. I'm talking about fucking, you know, white Hispanic people that live in Latin American countries. No Italians. No Italians, no Spanish. No Portuguese. Nope. I love when dudes will go back to like Benjamin Franklin era racism and they're like, yeah, the Germans are too swarthy. You know what I mean? We need the real legacy Americans. Just white Anglo-Saxons and the French, because Benny wanted to fuck French women. Literally. The French were considered white under Benjamin Franklin's point of view because he wanted to fuck French pussy. Okay? That is straight up true. He said Germans were swarthy. He said the Swedes were swarthy. He said the only real whites are the English, the Anglo-Saxons. He said this is an Anglo-Saxon nation. We don't want them swarthy Germans in here. Maybe the French can come. Why? Because I like to wear a raccoon outfit and go fuck French ladies. Everything I said is true. How did you reduce me saying European Americans, a multitude of ethnic groups from Russia to Portugal, as some antiquated racist Anglo-Saxon thing? What did you mean about European Americans, man? You just wanted to say white. Shut the fuck up. You're talking about white people. You're like saying that Americans are, white people in America are only coming from Europe. You're literally trying to do great replacement theories over here, being like, oh, these are white people, these are white people. And notice how that concept is interchangeable, because Benjamin Franklin considered only white people to be fucking Anglo-Saxons and maybe some French women that he wanted to fuck. The point is, whiteness is a fucking concept that is absolutely made up, that is built around maintenance of power, okay? That's why you said European Americans instead of saying white, but we know what you mean. Also, here's a great example. How do white people disappear? Well, I'll tell you how. You're going to say immigration. But there's another way that white people disappear. It's called race mixing, miscegenation. Are you against race mixing and miscegenation? Is that what you think is bad? They're not being replaced. They're just not as fucking psychotically obsessed with racial purity. They're not cousin fucking as hard as you and your dumbass cousin fucking ancestors were, I guess. I'm from the EU. Sorry, I don't understand how this was controversial. There are Asian Americans. There are so many European Americans. This was not coming from a weird angle. Oh, he's just European, bro. Yeah, think about whatever European country that you're in, okay? It's the same shit. Think about Muslim immigration instead of other forms of immigration, I guess. The real disappearance and the real replacement that nobody fucking talks about is the top of the hour ad break. And the only way to make that disappear and replace is by subscribing for $5.